Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 280. All of our dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Walt Disney.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, Indie Film Hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Today's show is sponsored by Blackbox. Blackbox is a new platform and community that is all about financial freedom for filmmakers like you. If you join Blackbox, you will be transformed from being a worker to being a maker of your own content. And you'll be making steady passive income from the global market. Blackbox currently allows you to upload your stock footage once, get it to many global agencies, and then allows you to share that passive income stream with your collaborators. Whether you want to submit old footage that's been sitting around in your hard drives or create brand new content, Blackbox is for you. It's really quite revolutionary. With Blackbox, filmmakers can concentrate on making great content while Blackbox takes care of all the business BS. Just visit www.blackbox.global to find out more. And today's show is also sponsored by Indie Film Hustle TV, the world's first streaming service dedicated to filmmakers, screenwriters, and content creators. If you want access to filmmaking documentaries, feature films about filmmaking, interviews with some of the top screenwriters and filmmakers in Hollywood, as well as educational online courses all in one place, IFH TV is for you. Just head over to indiefilmhustle.tv. Today on the show, we have writer-director James Morosini, and he directed a micro-budget film called Threesomething. And it's pretty interesting, his story and how he made this micro-budget film and truly his misadventures making it, because he had really never directed a feature film prior to this movie. Now, he is an actor, and he's been in many films and TV shows like American Horror Story and Lethal Weapon. But this is kind of his first journey into making a micro-budget feature film. And he truly did have some misadventures in it, and it was a pretty fascinating story. He wrote an article on the blog many, many months ago when it came out, if not a year or so ago when it first came out. But we finally got our schedules to match and have him on the show to tell us all of these crazy stories of how he made it, how he got it out there, and so on. So without any further ado, please enjoy my conversation with James Morosini. I'd like to welcome to the show James Morosini, man. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We connected a while ago, right before you started making your movie, or while you were making it, or trying to put it all together, and talked a little bit about your making of and stuff like that. So I'm glad to see it actually finally was finished.
I know, man. Me too. It's been quite the journey. Yeah, I think we were talking about it when I was still kind of shooting it or editing it, and you and I were talking about kind of like the best way for me to go about, on the next steps of like, the whole festival experience and the best way to think about that. And yeah.
Well, before we get into it, so how did you first get into the business? Because you have a unique story, how you've got to this point as a director.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay. I mean, I guess my uncle was Christopher Reeve, the actor.
I'm sorry, your uncle is Christopher Reeves?
Yeah, it was.
You mean Superman?
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome, dude.
I know. So I grew up with it kind of in my family, but I didn't really do much. But I would like mess around with the video camera and stuff when I was younger, and then and like make stupid little videos. But I didn't really do any plays or anything in high school. I'm for context, I make a living. I'm an actor, and then I write and direct when I'm not acting. So yeah, man. I did my first play was right after high school. I'd done a bunch of like little film projects in high school, and I did this play with at the Williamstown Theater Festival in Massachusetts, and then from there I went to USC. And studied theater for a couple of years, and then started kind of studying independently, and then really dove into learning about film and stuff, and making my own projects. And then then afterwards, I did a pilot with Comedy Central, and then that just kind of snowballed into other projects and other opportunities.
Very cool, man. I mean, you've been acting. I mean, your IMDb is fairly impressive. So as an actor, you are a working actor.
I'm a working actor. Man. I mean,
you're
more
like the unicorn.
I'm the unicorn, dude. Try to catch me.
Exactly. No, I mean, it's funny for you to say, like, I act as my full-time job and I just direct on the side. It's weird for you even to hear those words because so many people are dying just to be able to make a living as an actor.
Yeah, man. I mean, I am also dying to make a living sometimes, and then it works, and it's like great for a few months. And then
it's up and down.
You're back to like not working and just kind of living off of the money you've made, and and
hopefully those residual checks come in. Yeah,
and they're like, it's like finding like water in the desert. Sometimes you're like, oh fuck, here it is. They're definitely, I'm definitely happy to get them when they come.
So you decided to jump in and make a kind of micro budget independent film, and you kind of learned along the way, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I had made a bunch of shorts before, and I've always, since I was younger, I've pretty much been watching a movie a day for a really long time. And so I've always been kind of obsessed about making a full-length film, and I had made all these like little shorts and taught myself kind of how to do it, just by watching like videos on YouTube and stuff and asking a billion questions. And so, yeah, man, to make the feature, I just kind of the idea of it was so scary to me because it seemed like such a different thing in terms of like, like how do you make that much content? And so I felt like I was kind of like, my attitude through the whole thing was like, I'm okay. I just want to finish this film, and I'm going to try to have faith that as we go, we'll be able to kind of figure out the things we don't know. And I think we were really successful in doing that, because it's like, we shot, we had like a scriptment,
I'm very well aware of those.
Yeah, right. We had like, some scenes were totally written, some were kind of more vague and outlined, and then we were also able to kind of like we shot chronologically, so we were able to like adapt that to how things were going. I mean, as an actor, I know a lot of actors love to have the security of the script, the security of the words, and it scares the hell out of a lot of actors having this improv, like freewheeling vibe on set. How did you feel about it working with the actors? Sure. I mean, I think it was such a small production among friends that there was kind of the energy in the room that like, we're only going to use the stuff that works. So there was really a lot of room to fail and be bad. And I found that room to be bad is the only thing that allows really room to be very good. Because if you're playing it safe, it just kind of ends up being pretty middle of the road. So we would shoot a ton, and then we'd use like slivers of footage where things really popped and connected. And it was usually the moments where people were kind of caught off guard, or like, where things weren't going as planned. Where it was raw and natural. Yeah, where it was raw and there was, authentic uncertainty, and where people were really trying to figure things out. So the name of the movie is called Threesomething. Threesomething, yeah. Can you give the 2-minute pitch or a 2-second pitch? Yeah, sure. It's about a group of friends that try to have a threesome, and the reality falls short, or it turns out differently than their fantasy. And that's kind of what the movie explores, is the difference between fantasy and reality. And it also explores it explores like people trying to live up to images. The guys in the movie are really trying to be to experience their masculinity and to do this threesome, and it turns out they're actually way more sensitive than they'd like to admit. and everybody's kind of like falling on their faces. It's kind of about people in their 20s and few 20 somethings. No, you hear that pitch a lot. That's why I make that joke. But yeah, man, it's about kind of fantasy and reality and how that plays into things like love, sex, and friendship.
And what was the budget of the film, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't want to say it on here, but
okay.
I'll tell you,
under $1 million?
Definitely under $1 million. Yes.
Okay. How long did it take you to shoot?
So we shot. We basically did it in a few different legs of shooting. We did 11 days of production, and then I edited a rough cut, showed it to a bunch of people, basically got tons and tons of feedback, and then we did a few other legs of
pickups.
3 or 4 day bursts to fill out the film and to kind of some of the stuff we threw away and then added to and yeah, I mean our intent around the whole thing was realizing because we didn't have a ton of money, the thing we could do really well was to be nimble and to and to go about doing things in a less rigid way, where we were really trying to just get stuff that felt really, really raw and honest. Because I think that's one thing when you're doing something with less money that you have on your side, is the ability to do that.
Now, how did your acting experience help you in directing the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think my bullshit meter for myself is fairly high. So I'm really aware when I'm not being truthful in my own acting, or if I'm pushing or manufacturing, or if I'm just not, if my acting is kind of if it feels fake, it really bumps me, and it's I can't. I know when I'm phoning it in, or when I'm not, and I'm really connected to something. And so I think I have a heightened sensitivity around that with other actors as well. And I kind of just try to talk to other actors how I am talking to myself in my head. And I think as an actor, actor directors have the thing on their side where they kind of can use vocabulary and express nuance in a way that they would to themselves. They kind of understand this other way into communicating about these really subtle things.
Now, the style of the film when you were shooting it, it was a very kind of Joe Swanberg, Mark Duplass style, kind of run and gun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a mix of things being super structured and specific, and then a mix of times where it'd be all right, let's just kind of let the camera run and figure it out as we go, and then we'd turn it off, talk about what was working, and then we'd refine stuff, and then and then shoot it again, and yeah, it was kind of an iterative refining process. So it wasn't we went into it and we're here's exactly what we need. The whole thing was kind of explorational, and we'd refine it as we went. You're
kind of doing the rewriting process while you're on set,
yeah, exactly.
Just kind of chiseling away at things, trying things, experimenting. And apparently, it sounds like you had the luxury of time.
Yeah,
because it was such a low budget.
Also, the luxury of enthusiasm. I mean,
right.
we were all we really, really want to make this film, and we were all not paying ourselves. So the only reason we were there was to make something really cool. And that's an experience that is really amazing, because
it's rare.
because then nobody's there wondering when they can, go home. People are just we're here to make something and to connect in a real way. And, when there's that energy on set, I feel it really adds to the piece.
Oh, there's no question about it. I from firsthand experience, when you have that kind of energy on set where everybody's there, all going towards the same goal, no one's giving you attitude, no egos are involved. we're just trying to make the best work possible. It is a wonderful experience.
And it's cool because it kind of leaves room for people to go like, I don't know, or like to not need an answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of a flexibility in that can be really nice and can find like unexpected things and kind of follow your whim in a way that you're not really able to when you're like, really trying to make your days and
right. And because every minute's costing you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. When there's a little bit more room, like it's hard to put my finger on exactly what that gives you, but it's definitely something I value.
I think speaking from someone who did 2 of these kind of features, it's the wonderful world of being completely free, but yet being terrified because you literally have just a sliver of something to hold on to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that terror is definitely, it feels ever present throughout the like,
but it's a good kind of terror.
It is.
I
mean, it's the terror of like feeling embarrassed, really. Like because you're like, you just really don't want to
screw the pooch.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's really afraid to look stupid. I think that's like a driving force for everybody. Is like people want to appear to others like they really have their shit together, and it's scary when you're in a place of not knowing because you're like, shit, I need to know the answer now, or it needs to be good, and I kind of found it like it was like we were constantly going between like wanting there to be space to play and find it. And then we would go to be like, okay, well, we need something right now. Like, let's, what's the best thing we've got? And
just roll with it.
Yeah, man. And then it's like, you'd get what you got that day, and then you'd cut it down to kind of like exactly what it needs to be and how it fits into the already existing footage. Mm-hmm. And then from that, it's like, you're kind of like, I guess it's kind of like you're building a puzzle, and then you're like, oh, we need a piece that fits here. And then you're going out and getting that piece, but it's almost like starting with a partial puzzle of footage and stuff.
You're writing with you basically have a rough draft, and you're going out and writing the story with the camera and the actors.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're keeping expenses as low as possible so that you have that luxury to do that. Mm-hmm. And there's something about, okay, we're on set, everybody's here, we have to make something. There's something about that pressure that can sometimes lead to because then there's not all these steps between the moment of inspiration when you're like, oh, I have a great idea, I'm going to put it in a script form, then I'm going to send it to producers, then I'm going to attach a cast, then we're going to plan a day to shoot it. By the time you get to actually making it, that moment of inspiration was like, it could be like a year or two or even more ago, where it's like, it's not really that inspiring anymore, or it might not be, but if you're like, great, let's go do it. Like, you're going to find something that inspires you on the day. And that thing is going to, you're going to be able to experience that from watching it.
Now, what is the biggest mistake you made while making the film?
Wow. It's hard to say, man. I mean, the whole thing,
the whole thing was a mistake. The whole damn, no.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, it was my first feature, and my whole mentality around it was like, I want to fail as much as I want to be as ambitious as I can around this. And then I also want to fall on my face as much as I can to understand, to learn from falling on my face.
Right.
And then also realizing that no matter how bad a certain scene turns out, we can always cut it and then learn from what didn't work and reshoot it. So nothing, even though you're shooting it, it's not, if it doesn't cost a lot to make, and there's, few enough people involved where they're kind of down for that ride, nothing's that final, so you have the room to fail. In terms of like, I'm trying to think of like a big mistake. I don't know, man.
Well, let me rephrase the question. If you can go back and tell yourself something before you started shooting, what would it be?
Yeah. I think I mean, honestly, it would just be like to try to enjoy it more.
That's a really, you know what? That's really good, because when you're in that intense pressure cooker, you don't enjoy the ride.
No. And I didn't, I mean, I look from like the time I thought of the idea to like now it being released on all the platforms. It like a lot of it was less fun than it could have been had I worn it, you know, a little bit more loosely. Mm-hmm. But it was like, you know, so much of it is motivated by like you're afraid and you just want to get it made, and so you're kind of in a panic state a lot of the time. And I just wish I could go back and be like, dude, it's not that serious.
Just relax.
Relax. You're going to make it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it actually doesn't matter. Like you're just chill out. Like
I think if you learned that lesson, the entire process was worth it, because that is such an invaluable lesson to learn. And it took me years to learn it.
Totally, man. And I think it's one you have to learn over and over and over. You know, it's like just the future is a scary thing, but right now isn't necessarily. So if you can just be where you are in the process right now and dive in there, then you'll be fine, you know?
Now, so you finished the movie, you edited it, and now what is the marketing plan? What was your ideas of how to get it out into the world?
Yeah, we used a lot of social media ads, and you know, we had relationships with a lot of different blogs and you know, things like this, and also, you know, the film, you know, going to CineQuest was really useful.
Yeah, they're wonderful. That's where I premiered. It was great.
Yeah, man, they're really awesome. And you know, we released a little chunk of our film online. We released one of the scenes, and somehow it went viral. I think it has like 8.5 million views now.
Yeah, and when you say somehow it went viral, I mean, look at the title. Don't act like you didn't know what you were doing, okay?
Yeah, I guess threesome scene.
Yeah, threesome scene generally is going to get a click or two.
If you search threesome on YouTube, it's one of the first videos that comes up.
Right. So, I mean, to be fair, that was and to be fair, it was a threesome scene, not the threesome scene that they were looking for.
I know people you can look at the analytics on it, and people tend to stop watching when they realize that it's not the kind of threesome scene they were.
Well, there aren't any threesome scenes like that on YouTube. They don't allow it.
I know. I don't know why people are going on YouTube to look for porn. It doesn't really make sense to me. There's porn like very few clicks away. Like you don't have to. It's not like you have to go hunting for it on YouTube. Like there's plenty of porn that you can go watch.
Well, I mean, it was a strategic plan that you did that, and I saw that. I was like, oh, look what these guys did. That's great. Fine. You know, they used the viral thing to the ump's degree. Yeah, and it's like 8 million plus, and you're still probably getting tens of thousands of views on a daily basis.
Yeah, I guess I feel bad that No, I don't really feel bad, but there's a part of me that I guess feels a little guilty that there's all these disappointed masturbators out there that are.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you actually make any money off of that on YouTube? Did you actually monetize it or no?
No, we didn't. We used it was still so early on in the process that we still had our temp music in there, so we just like put it out with one of the songs. It was really like. The reason I go like it somehow went viral is because I literally just uploaded a small part of the rough cut onto YouTube, and I didn't push it at all. It just found somehow.
Of course.
But yeah, it's the, you know, I've done so many shorts where like we released a short and then we're sending it to everybody we know and we're doing this, we're doing that. This we really just like uploaded, and it somehow, you know, to the point where one day it just started climbing like 50,000 views a day. And we were like, dude, did someone, you know, Sam and I, the dude that I wrote and produced and acted in it with, he and I were like, dude, did you pay for these views? Like, just be
honest. Just be honest.
Did you pay for the views? Because there's a lot. And I kind of didn't believe him until it started hitting like 1 million and stuff.
Because that cost too much money to do.
I was like, there's no way he spent like $1,000 to get 1 million views like that. Yeah.
And that's something that anyone listening, don't do that. Don't buy views. It's just not. I had a guy, a filmmaker that I worked on their film, and this guy was just an egomaniac. And he put his trailer up, and he like paid for like 2 or 3 million views on that trailer. And that was what he led with every single time he spoke about the movie. Look, our trailer got 2 or 3 million views. There's so many people wants to watch it. You've got to buy it. And no one bought it. It's just a waste of time.
I mean, yeah, I don't think people really care. It doesn't really move the needle in terms of people's enthusiasm. They're like, oh, cool, X amount of millions of views. Like, people just want to see a good movie.
Right.
And so if the trailer sucks and you have 50 million views, like, I'm not going to want to see the movie if the trailer sucks or if the teaser doesn't look interesting.
Right. No question. Now, what kind of distribution plan did you have for the film?
I mean, we didn't really have a plan going into it. Our plan was to, our last resort was going to be to self-distribute, go through Stribber or potentially put it on VHX where it's like, you pay each time you want to watch it. So yeah, I mean, that was like worst case scenario, which wouldn't have been that bad. But but then we went to Sundance this past year to support a friend's film. And I met one of these guys that works at Gravitas. And we started talking about Burning Man and Vipassana meditation. And then I mentioned that I had made a film, and he's like, oh, cool, man, send it to me. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I sent it over, and then we got a call a couple weeks later being like, hey, we want to make you an offer on your film. And so, yeah, it's funny that it can be that simple. It is like awkwardly standing around a Sundance party and meeting a random person and to selling your film.
That is what Sundance is for. Totally. In many ways, the contacts you can make at Sundance, it's just, I mean, you're from LA, I'm from LA, so
I'm from Boston.
I mean, you live in LA though.
Yeah.
I'm from the East Coast as well, but we both live in LA, so sure. The business is around us, but it's so spread out, and we can't. There's people you can never in a million years get access to.
Totally.
But within Sundance, in that 4 or 5 block radius, there's 50,000 people that are in the business.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love going to Sundance, man. It's so fun.
It is a unique experience in the world. There is no other place like it ever. That time of year is very, very special. Now, would you make another movie in this same kind of way, in this same kind of style, budget, and so forth?
It wouldn't be my first go-to. I guess I'm interested in exploring how to put a movie together more traditionally with kind of the same spirit as we made this film. But I do want to challenge myself to make another kind of movie, that is kind of, I don't know. I want the stake, even though I want to go into it and have fun and stuff. I really like feeling. I like the feeling of butterflies as I'm making it going. I like the feeling of like it feeling like you're performing a high wire act.
Yes,
doing the whole thing like that. That adrenaline is and intensity is something that I think really can bring a lot of people together and creates kind of this feeling that you're on this like mission with these people. And that's kind of why I love making movies and acting and stuff, is because you're kind of like, I don't know, you're trying to do this weird, difficult thing with people. So no, I don't know. I mean, we made a movie right after Threesomething in a similar way. I don't think we were as we didn't have that feeling around it. We were like, yeah, we can do this. It's fine. Like, we'll just throw it together. And it didn't have the same magical quality that Threesomething did. So we ended up changing the form of it. Now it's a short series. But I'm still glad we made it, because it's like we wouldn't have made that short little series had we just been like, yeah, let's just wait until somebody gives us multiple millions to make our next film. The next film I want to make is kind of a personal story based on my experience growing up in Boston. I was like 14 or 15, obsessed with mafia movies. And I sold pot to make friends and got caught. And so the movie is about, it kind of has the sensibility of like an 8th grade or like a Lady Bird. It's kind of like awkward teenage years, but it's structured like a Goodfellas or something, where this kid desperately wants to be a gangster, but he's so clearly not.
So Napoleon Dynamite meets Goodfellas. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Dude. Yeah, the feeling that I don't know. I loved those movies growing up, and so that's the film I'm putting together now. It's called Acne.
Nice, very cool, man. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I ask all of my guests. What advice would you give a filmmaker wanting to break into the business today?
Yeah, so I think the advice I would have given to myself as I was trying to break into the business was just be as bold as you possibly can. Don't worry about just take shots. Just have ideas of things you can do to move forward, and just do those things. Just learn through failure. Don't be afraid of falling on your face. And then also just try to do something kind of scary every day. Whether that be reaching out to someone you really respect, or writing down a conversation you had or you would like to have, and then kind of like changing one of the elements to make it more fantastical or cinematic. For example, I just had my girlfriend and I had got this cat, and then we had to return the cat, and it was this whole debacle that kind of reflected like the nature of our relationship and stuff. And I wrote a short, but I changed the cat to a monkey. And it's like now I love so I'm making that very soon. But anyway,
you're gonna get a monkey. You're actually gonna get a monkey.
I'm gonna try to get a monkey. Yeah, I don't know the idea. One of the main things that appeals to me about the idea is like, how am I gonna get a monkey, and how am I gonna
direct a monkey?
Yeah, how am I going to direct the monkey?
The advice I could give you as a director who's worked with animals, just make sure the budget's really low, because it's going to take you a while.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty excited to figure it out. But yeah, so the advice I would give is just to fail as frequently as you can, to try not to care what other people think about you, and then to try to figure out what makes you weird or insecure, and then make things about that.
Very cool. Now, can you tell me what book had the biggest impact on your life or career?
Yeah, I think there's a few. Elia Kazan's book called My Life. It's a life. That book is unbelievable, and I really connected to it because it's about an actor that wanted to say more than just acting, and kind of had this like feeling of unrest in them, and so he started directing, and it's extremely candid and really awesome. And then another book, I don't know. I'm reading the book Cassavetes on Cassavetes right now.
Yeah, it's a good book. I
love it, man. Yeah, it's really inspiring.
Anybody who wants to make movies like the style of your movie or the style that I made in my films, you got to watch Cassavetes. You've got to study Cassavetes, because he was the godfather of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, true, man.
Without question. Now, what is the lesson that took you the longest to learn, whether in the film industry or in life?
What is it? Honey attracts more flies than vinegar.
Very true.
Just like, if you're upset, just like try to deal with it on your own, and try not to. Just don't be a dick. It's the
best advice you could give anyone. Just don't be a dick. Sometimes like yelling or getting upset with other people can feel like it's going to be productive, but it actually never works. It just like the only thing that person then ends up experiencing is their feelings being hurt. They stop listening to what you're trying to even communicate. And then you also then all of a sudden feel guilty, and you can't even think about the thing you were trying to communicate. You just feel bad for not being kind. So yeah, I think that's one that's like, you have to regularly remind yourself is like, hey,
be nice. Everyone's here for 80 years if they're lucky, and then they die. So just fucking, like, everybody's really a lot more fragile than they seem, and everybody's just kind of doing the best they can. So try to be good to other people, because that's yeah.
Now, what are 3 of your favorite films of all time?
Wow. Okay. I think one that I recently saw is going to make the list. A movie called Tony Erdmann. Mm-hmm. Fuck, man.
Just got 2 more that just come to mind.
Okay. I really like Das Boot.
Oh, Das Boot. Yeah, it's a great movie.
And I love. I've seen Thin Red Line so many times. I think it's kind of structurally all over the place, but there's something just like so ambitious around it, and like so raw and like kind of random that I really love.
Yeah, that's Malick. It's Malick. We're actually doing the director series that I have on YouTube, which is basically diving in and breaking down and dissecting that movie right now, actually, which is such a great movie. All his stuff is such an insane journey to watch his stuff.
Yeah.
Now, where can people find you?
They can go to my website, jamesmorosini.com, and they can see a bunch of the stuff I've directed and other stuff. They can just hit me up from there. And yeah, my movie is available on Amazon, iTunes, all of the streaming and on-demand platforms. It's called Threesomething. Mm-hmm. That's 3 spelled out, not the letter. Mm-hmm. And yeah, check it out. And if you dig it, let me know.
Very cool, man. I'll put all those links in the show notes.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Very
cool. I'll put all those links in the show notes. And James, thanks again for being on the show and sharing your experience, brother.
This was so fun. Thanks, man.
Thank you, James, for coming on and dropping some experience knowledge bombs on the tribe today, and sharing your adventures or misadventures in making your micro budget feature film. So thanks again so much. If you want links to the movie or anything we talked about in the episode, please head over to the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/280. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to all of my U.S. Listeners out there, members of the tribe. Happy Thanksgiving. You guys are probably all stuffed right now listening to this, or it's a day after, 2 days after, and you're still stuffed because that's what we do. So happy, have a great weekend, guys. Have a great long weekend. And don't forget, we are having that Black Friday sale for IFH TV. If you sign up for IFH TV, you get a coupon for a free month that you could give to anybody, filmmaker friends, families, colleagues, whoever you want. And I made a nice, beautiful little e-card that will get sent to you so you could just forward it along with a code. And they could take advantage of IFH TV. So that's going to run until Cyber Monday. So, of course, just go to indiefilmhustle.tv or ifhtv.com. Have a good Turkey Day, guys. And as always, keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.